Hello, Margaret.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Ron Wixon from the town of Bazzano.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Hello, Margaret, Ron, and Martin.
Hello.
Two of my
Wouldn't you-
favorite other people. Plus you too, Margaret.
Awesome.
As I was writing up a little thing for this event, Molly, I was reminiscing back to the days when we were with the administration, or we were working for this goofy administration at the school, and decided that we were fed up with it and we wouldn't continue any longer. So we went off and made another life without teaching, and then came back a couple of years later as the administration.
Oh, I remember it well.
What a turn of events, anyhow.
Yes.
And then we met Martin, and things have gone well since then.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. I was waiting for that other one to drop. Ron, I see one of the things that has come up in your community about a need is in the process, and that's a daycare.
Yes, work is being done there into the building already, and lots of people have been working by there. I walk by it every day, so lots of people working in there, cleaning it up, getting it ready, and we're looking forward to it opening.
Oh,
That's
that's great.
Great plus for us.
Yep, you bet. Good to hear.
Yeah, no kidding.
What building, Ron?
You know the old what church that was? It's on Main Street. I can't remember the name of the church. It was a big building that was built. It's about 8th Street.
Evangelical Free?
The Evangelical Free Church, I think, is what it started off as. And I think it kind of evolved after that, but it's been vacant for a couple of years. Pastor Don, do you guys remember Pastor Don? He was a great, big, burly.
Yes, he's at the college now,
Yeah,
cooking. He does the restaurant. That's where I last saw him.
Yep.
larger than life sort of character. But the congregation shrunk and money stopped flowing, and churches are in tough times these days, to tell you the truth. I think they all feel threatened by a lack of resources and funding. And
I remember years ago being in Montreal, and at one time there was 400 active Catholic churches, and they were down to 15.
Yeah, I believe it.
Wow. Can I just intrude in for a second?
Sure.
Ron, a question for you. Are you wanting to join in and speak during this meeting?
Well, I thought the idea was that we would at some point in time say a few remarks about our community, just to.
Yeah, so if I can have you speak, that'd be great. We'd love it.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay,
Was
perfect.
Was I supposed to phone you about that or contact you about that?
Just let me know, which this is great. I can just add you in right now. So that's perfect.
Sure.
Well, I have never used my laptop for a Zoom meeting because I always use my iPad. And I just came off the Power Up conference on my iPad, and I cannot get it to work now. So I'm on my laptop. I hope it seems as though I can see you and you can see me. So that's all we need, right?
So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for everyone else to join. Was anyone else on the Power Up today? I think it was just you and I then, Molly. It's quite
Um,
different, wasn't it?
It was excellent. He's a pretty powered up speaker.
Isn't it? Yeah, definitely. Well, and to hear how a business owner, survived COVID and how they changed directions, to make things work, that was pretty good to hear.
Yeah, it was interesting. He certainly encapsulates what a true entrepreneurial spirit is, taking advantage of everything you possibly can, making it work.
Looks like some people are just waiting to the last second to sign on.
So Tony and Bill weren't interested?
No one got back to me. And it just could be this time of year has been very busy for everyone. So, and it's the first time we've done this in a long time. I'm not quite sure when the last time was that we've done one of these. So, sometimes it's like, well, let's just see how that's going to go first before we join in.
Well, they used to be very early in the morning,
Oh, okay.
breakfast,
Okay.
get together. It was meant to be come and hear the politicians and then go to work sort of morning. So
Okay.
for me, it was one of my earliest mornings of the year to get to Brooks. It was always at the Heritage.
Okay.
And I think it was county, city, MLA, and MP then, right, Martin?
Yep. When it sort of got less an attraction, that's when Molly, you and I said, let's go find all the mayors to be in this. Maybe they'll rejuvenate the crowd.
Hi, Molly.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hang on, I can't hear you. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Hey, everyone.
What are you doing?
Hello.
Excellent. I'm just trying to get my sound fixed so I don't have to stay on this thing.
You sound good.
There we go. Get rid of that now.
The early morning thing really became smaller and smaller too, didn't it, Martin?
Yeah.
People just, I think you have to change things around a bit to keep people interested and if, yeah, it was hard for people who worked, they couldn't always get there. And
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do right now is trying to figure out when is the best time to have our meetings. But you put surveys out and sometimes you get responses, sometimes you don't. So then it's hard to make that decision as to when is the best. Because your restaurants, you can't do anything lunch hour, and a lot of times you can't do breakfast time and that for them and supper. So they're more middle of the days or late at night. And then everyone else varies quite a bit depending on their business and when they're doing things.
right.
Then you get a beautiful spring day like
Yes.
today, and people just want to be outside, right?
Because it
Yeah.
is beautiful out. Yes.
Yeah, it really turned out to be a nice day. Well, Margaret, should we give a few more minutes for any stragglers? What do you
Yeah,
think?
maybe. We've got a fair amount of people on here already, so maybe we'll just give it another minute and I'll just keep on watching the screen for people joining and yeah, and then we'll get started. Just be mindful of everyone's time. And Ron, the mayor of Bassano, is with us tonight as well, so he's going to join in on the conversations.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Ron, I don't think we've had the pleasure of meeting. Hi, I'm Jordan. President with the Chamber this year.
No, we haven't, Jordan. But
Nice to meet you.
it is nice to meet you too. You have an organization that means a lot to all of us, to tell you the truth. We don't show enough attention to it, to tell you the truth. So I'm glad to come today and to listen and be involved. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. And looking forward to hearing what you have to add to the conversation.
Oh, you know, as a politician, we always have something to say. I call it full-time promoting sometimes without getting into too much trouble.
All right,
Well,
no
what do you
one,
think, Margaret? Should we just start her off?
we have no one new joining yet, so yeah, let's get started.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules on this beautiful spring day to join us for what is our second Business After Hours event. One of our mission at the Chamber is to be the voice of business through advocacy and education, and this is one of the ways that we can provide that opportunity for our membership. I see we're recording the event, so hopefully we can post that after and give those that didn't have the opportunity to attend in person an opportunity to hear what was discussed. But today, what a special opportunity to have various members of our local leadership, municipal leadership team. We have Areve Molly Douglas, our Brooks Mayor, Barry Machida, and a mayor from Bassano, who I just met, Ron. And Ron, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name.
Wixon.
Wixon. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to be here today. You know, it's been a very challenging year with COVID. All of us have been affected in some way, especially with us running businesses. And it's been through leadership from all of you that we've been able to find a way through it. And, you know, we're not quite done with it yet, but the end is in sight. And with each passing day, and I see how many more people are vaccinated, I just get more and more hopeful for a future where we're through the COVID environment. So with today's State of the Union, it's an opportunity for us to hear your perspective on how things are going in each of the jurisdictions that you are providing leadership for. And also our members have provided us with some questions that Margaret will ask you at the end of the session that you might be able to answer. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Margaret. Margaret is our executive director at the Chamber. Margaret, if you want to do a brief introduction, and then you can get started with the program.
Okay, let me just figure out all this muting here. Just a second. Okay, everyone can hear me all right? Okay. So as Jordan said, Margaret Plumtree, Executive Director for the Brookston District Chamber of Commerce. I've been in the position for 1 year now, and so far have survived COVID along with the rest of you. So I'm so excited to have all of you attend. Molly and I were just discussing just before we started the meeting how these meetings used to be in the morning and they used to be in person. So how things have changed. But I really appreciate you all joining us and giving our political leaders a chance to let us know what is happening in the community. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute people one at a time so that they can speak and let us know what's happening within the community. So let's see here. I'm just going to go at the top of my screen. So Barry, I've got you here first. So I'm going to unmute you.
All right. Can you hear me? All right.
We can.
All right. Well, Margaret, you said a mouthful when you said 2020 and COVID. I mean, let's face facts. I know certainly I didn't anticipate being a mayor through a pandemic. You know, we've talked a lot about how COVID has affected the community, but, you know, really what it's gone down to, it's affected each of us individually in ways that are going to take a long time to unravel. And in some cases, unfortunately, a lot of times to rebuild. Our focus during the year has tried to keep people informed and make sure they understood what was going on, and try and garner and marshal as much support as we could as we went through. And so, as you know, the city did a lot at the beginning. It was kind of a crazy thing that, you know, one day we're hearing about it and then March 15th, everything is closed. And we can tell you that no one was quite fully prepared for that. And but we immediately began to talk about how we were going to deal with this on a public basis. And one of our biggest considerations was making sure people were well informed. We know in this day of social media and misinformation and people filling in voids from information that was going to be a big deal. And our entire staff, particularly our communications group, really made an effort to make sure. And we did a lot of media, we did a lot of social media, we did a lot of gathering and gathering up all that information so people could get a good understanding of what was going on. And, you know, after we got our first case that second week of April and we just saw things go crazy pretty quickly, we moved really quickly. And I can't thank Martin and Molly enough in particular. And I have to thank the Premier directly for all of this, because he was very supportive in our, when we were trying to get the assessment center and do asymptomatic testing, which I think was very crucial to us dealing with, which was the highest concentration of cases in Alberta, even to this day. And we managed to do that over a period of, you know, 8 weeks. By the end of May, we were starting to reopen. We were delayed, but we were starting to reopen. In the meantime, the city took a lot of steps. You know, we deferred taxes, we removed penalties, we deferred utility bills, we stopped charging development fees. We had to unfortunately lay off staff and cut budgets, all with a, you know, trying to prepare and make it as palatable and as easy on our residents as possible. That resulted us in lowering taxes by 2% last year. And I have to give our staff a lot of credit there. We did what we had to do to maintain service levels, but at the same time, we understood that there was going to be a lot of fiscal pressure on residents. And I think that attitude prevails today. And I think going forward, the city isn't particularly spending a lot of time on economic development, on trying to support our businesses and make sure that, that as many of them are ready to go when we're fully opened. And I can't thank the business community enough, the individual owners and operators that have worked through trying times, that have become the center of some conflict in areas that's really none of their doing. And I think if anything, I think one of my jobs and one of the city's jobs going forward is to ensure that our friends aren't fighting our friends, that our businesses are working together with residents, because this is not of their doing. This is not a situation that they would ever put their customers in or ever put each other in, but we are where we are. And for our community to come out the other end, I think we have to remember that we are a community. And I hope as we get through the end of this pandemic that we pull together and respect each other's differences of opinions, but remember that we're not here by our own doing. So I'm pretty proud of this community, and I'm very proud to be the mayor of Brooks, even through this tough time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry. And let me just see who's next in my row here. All right, Molly, you're next. So I'm going to unmute you here. Is it working? Yeah, there you are.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you.
Barry did a really good little sort of wrap up of everything that's been happening with our COVID year. And I just want to give Barry lots of credit for his leadership early on in the spring. He got right on what was happening with COVID and involved who he needed to, as he mentioned, the Premier and AHS in a big way. And I think our community, our greater community, has a lot to be proud of through those days and through the year. We never thought that we'd be here for this long, but we have been, and we are. And I think the respect respect and concern for one another needs to continue. We're almost there. And I think those are the strengths of our community. And so I'm feeling pretty proud of everything that has gone on. And all of us have, you know, tried to influence politicians as much as we can in the next levels, individually or as groups, however that could happen. But you know, our rural communities, I think, are quite different from the urbans in so many ways. Agriculture, for example, being the essential service it is, things just carried on. In fact, out where I live, there's days that I have to remind myself that COVID is still happening because, you know, the big open spaces and people have stayed away from one another. It's been easy to keep on doing everything. So I think we've done extremely well throughout a very interesting time. And, you know, the county, we even accomplished a few things during the year through virtual meetings. And again, Barry and Ron have been involved in lots of those. And we completed our intercollaboration framework agreements, which lots of communities have not within the province. And so I think that's something really to be proud of as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to vaccinations helping us get back on track. And it's really nice to be talking to people who have actually had vaccinations and feeling more comfortable about moving forward. And I think our patience has been tried, but this is no time to give up on patience. I don't think we're close. Anyhow, that's enough from me for now.
All right, thank you so much, Molly. And there you are. Okay, Ron, I'm going to be asking you to unmute. It's being difficult, is it?
Yes, it is. There it is.
Oh, there we go.
Typical technology.
Right?
Well, I think Barry's covered a lot of ground in his comments. I don't want to talk about what we've done locally in terms of information. I totally agree, Barry, with the importance of information and consistency of information. And I think we've done an excellent job all the way through the pandemic to make this possible. As well, we've done some relief for our residents with tax deferrals and tax penalties reduced to nothing, and so on and so forth. All of this has been helpful, but really, I think one of our initiatives here in town is probably the most helpful through the COVID, and that was a little project that we started back at the beginning of our council reign back in 2018. We decided to work on something called the Beautify Bizano project. And really what it was to try to get our public to have a look at their property very carefully and clean it up. You know, people have a tendency to store things, they pile junk into back corners of their houses and so on and so forth. And it, over a period of time, it has become something that we weren't particularly proud of. And as a result of the best decision we have made as a council, which was to hire a young lady named Amanda Davis to come on as our CAO, we really took this project forward, and Amanda has provided great leadership throughout the entire thing and great leadership in other areas as well. But by getting people into this mode of getting outside and making improvements to their property, I think we were able to, through the pandemic, especially through the spring and the summer and the fall, and even into the winter, we had residents that were out and about trying to continue on with this program as we were out and about promoting it as well. like, what a good time to be outside. So we took advantage of the fact that it's a lot safer to be outside, and we had a little committee that went around town doing projects, and we were all wearing masks and keeping our social distance, but we all got some things done, and we did it with a community spirit that I think is very typical of Bazzano, to be quite honest. So we're really proud of that initiative. It's worked very well for us, and it's really helped us through COVID. We certainly have a focus on business here. This is one of our major promotions, and you know, with this focus on business, we've tried to make our town office. We're trying to have our town office provide information for people that are interested in coming to Bazzano, to provide them with simple, easy forms, methodologies, and help with anything they need. And it has produced great results for us. Even through the COVID era, we've had a number of businesses come to town, and I think that's something we're very proud of. So between the Beautify Bazzano and keeping our residents healthy by being outside and doing things good in the community and promoting our business, we feel like we're in a very strong position. And on top of that, we have an infrastructure project that we've been working on, or the town has been working on for 10 years. That's to treat wastewater in our community. And that infrastructure project, with a lot of lobbying, thank you, Martin, thank you, Barry, all of the people that have helped us along the way with this project. We've got the money that we wanted from the federal government, from the provincial government, and I must say I have to thank the provincial government as well. And we've got the money together, and the project is starting this spring, and it will provide us with this very important infrastructure that'll last us well into the next century. So we're very happy with that project going forward, and we have great leadership at the town in getting it done. So things are looking good in our community. We're very happy. In spite of the COVID and the frustrations that that's caused, I think as a community, we're going to come through it very well. So thanks for the opportunity to talk today, by the way. I'm glad to have that opportunity for the first time.
Yes, and so much going on in all the different communities in our region is so good to hear. So now what I'm going to
I think you muted yourself there, Margaret.
Thanks for letting me know, Jordan. All right, I'm just gonna get the three of you, our two mayors and our reeve, to unmute, and then we will ask you some questions, and I'll just let you decide which questions you want to answer. All right, just making sure. Barry, are you able to unmute, or did I not?
Yep, there we go. Yep.
Okay, so the three of you just answer any of the questions that you feel pertain to you. So our first question is, what are you doing to help advocate for Alberta's reopening? Who would like to go first?
I can tell you that we've written, we continue to talk about a regional approach. If you remember back in May when we weren't on the good side of the numbers, we were delayed, and we accepted that, saying, okay, that seems fair. You know, Calgary and Brooks are a little behind, so that seems fair. And now that we've kind of been on the other end of the spectrum where we've asked for that reciprocal consideration, it unfortunately doesn't seem like that's the way they want to go. But you know, I think anything that would move us forward in any part of the province would be a good thing. So, you know, and I can't imagine any municipal leaders wanting to move ahead when they don't think that it's safe. And we know our communities well. So we're going to continue to do that individually because it's an ever shifting landscape. So we've let our wishes be known by letter. And although to be quite fair, we have not received a response as of yet either. So.
Thank you, Mayor. Who else would like to speak to the question?
I can say something. Our council did not agree to support a letter, but I think individually we have been speaking to MLAs that we know, whether they're our own or others, and letting our feelings be known.
Definitely, always a lot of opportunities for all of you to meet with those leaders. So we appreciate you for advocating on our behalfs. Ron, would you like to comment?
I think about the only thing that I could say about reopening is we have had, I think we've had a very inconsistent message from the province. And I think there have been times when the province has opened things up and we didn't necessarily agree with that. And then they closed things down and we didn't necessarily agree with that. And now extending this, I don't know whether we all agree with that either. We haven't really been touched by COVID to the same degree as Brooks. But at the same time, we've had our cases and we've even had to close down our own office. So, you know, we know how important it is to make sure that people are safe, and especially people that are required to work. But I don't know. I think in the end, we're all waiting for the end to come. But I think also at the same time, you know, I'll just speak as an individual for a moment. 2 days from now, I'm going to get my first shot. And 2 weeks after that, that shot is probably going to be pretty effective in saving my life. And I'm of that age where I could possibly be threatened here. So at this point in time, and for me in this case, I just want to hang in there, be as safe as possible for the next 2 weeks. And then I'm going to feel a lot better walking around again. And I think a lot of people, especially in my age bracket, are thinking exactly the same thing. So I guess we're going to hang on, be careful.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Hey, second question. Does council, any of your councils, have any plans to support businesses from now until October of 2021? So is there anything different that you might have plans?
So I get, you know, where we are right now, we obviously, the city did get rid of our licensing fees completely. And I know that's not a big amount, but it does have a compound effect. It's a little less paperwork and, you know, it is a tiny bit of money, but it also allows us to do other things as well instead of do that work. We're also working through our economic recovery task force and through joint services, and Molly and Ron are part of that, to try to ensure that we're working hard on attracting new businesses and new industry to the community. And we're working really hard on a couple of promising potentials, but these things all take time. And I think it's a really good lesson for municipalities because, you know, when things were really, really busy here, we didn't pay enough attention to that side of it. It came easy. It was coming easy to the province, and in a way it was coming easy to us. And so you kind of let it slip. I just think about, you know, the work that we've had to do to where we are and some of the things we're working on. Man, if we'd have been more into it 4 years ago when nobody thought it was really important to be spending money on economic development or business attraction and retention, it would have been kind of interesting to see how much more advanced you are. So hopefully this is a good lesson for us. To make sure that we're preparing for when things aren't going so well. We should be laying the groundwork for that then. The other thing we're going to be doing too is as our year goes on, Molly mentioned the intermunicipal collaboration frameworks, and those do have a net benefit operationally to city ratepayers. So as the year goes on, we're going to determine how we're going to move that money. And I'm pretty hopeful that we'll issue some sort of, again, a bit of a tax break. And one of the things that has been brought to our attention is that our commercial mill rate is a little bit out of sync with our residential one. And that's kind of over the years, just hasn't been paid. In a couple of years, we made a very deliberate attempt to keep the ratio down. But there's the potential for us to even move that closer. And so that's one of the things that we'll be working on in the first quarter. So hopefully that helps. The other thing we're doing is we're letting the province know that some of their programs, the accessibility of them has been difficult for a lot of businesses, different types. And so we've been lobbying for easier access, simpler programming, less paperwork, more to the point. So we've been doing that as well.
Thank
And we're
you.
open to ideas as well, so always.
And the county has not finalized our budget for this year, but we are trying to, we're probably going to try and look after small businesses somehow, with a tax break, perhaps. We don't have business licenses, we never have, so we don't have those. But another thing that we've worked on throughout the last year, which has been quite concerning, is the lobbying the government and trying to educate the provincial ministers and MLAs about the assessment concerns. You know, there's $245 million of unpaid taxes in the province to rural municipalities by oil and gas companies. And many of those taxes, I forget what the percentage is, Barry, do you remember?
Around
Or-
60% are still from operating companies.
Yeah, I was going to say 40, but so a lot of those companies are still operating, and it's a bit of a concern that we have this large group of taxpayers who feel as though they don't need to pay taxes. We have much concern for our oil and gas industry and want it to be healthy. It's good for us all. But we also have much concern about what the government is thinking and doing on this. And of recent, we seem to be at least getting a little bit of reaction from the Premier and the Energy Minister, so that they are actually admitting that perhaps this needs to have a serious look. So for our greater community, that is really an issue that needs to be sorted out. And that income that pays a big part of our taxes is very important for how we have operated in the sharing of our money over the years as well. So it'd be good for everybody, all of our municipalities, if we can get that sorted out.
Very true. And Ron, anything to add? I know they covered so much already.
Yeah, this going last isn't quite that good, as good as I thought.
I'll make you go first for the next one.
To tell you the truth, very much along the same lines. We're trying as much as we can to reopen businesses, to get businesses moving again, and everything that we can possibly do is being provided to the local community. There's not much else I can say. It's just a time when we just have to hang on a little bit longer and get ready for this summertime. That's gonna, for us, a big thing is recreation in our community. So we're struggling with having to decide in the next week or two whether we're going to open up some of these facilities that we know are important to the public and are important for everybody's health. We're going to have to try and open up some of these things, knowing that it's going to cost us a lot of money. But the reality is that, you balance the money with the benefit to the community, and you think having a pool open this summer might be one of the best things, one of those feel-good stories that we need to pursue. So it'll be a challenge for us one way or the other, but I think we're going to go that direction if I can convince a few of my other cohorts to think that way.
Most definitely. Very challenging times, especially when you don't even know when regulations are going to change to allow you to have your pool open. So, but you got to hire that staff and order all your chemicals before that. So definitely appreciate you understand and want to support your community. So we did have a question on taxes, but I think that's mostly been covered. So I'm going to combine for time. I'm just going to combine the next two questions. And we are going to let Mayor Wixon go first, so he has his chance. And it's a two-part question is what I'm going to do for time. So what are you most proud of 2020, and what are council's goals for 2021?
well, most proud is that we've survived this, and we've survived this sort of intact, financially, physically, and in spite of the mental health challenges that we have within our community, our FCSS, for example, has done an absolutely outstanding job, and we get a lot of credit at the town for what they've done on behalf of the town, but boy, as a small part of our operation, or what has been a small part of our operation, just done a fantastic job. We are so proud of that organization at the present time. That's about all I wanted to say, actually, to tell you the truth.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. Molly, do you want to go next? Because Barry always takes the show. Right, Barry?
I do. Mark, you first.
I will say again how proud I am of our whole community and how they have responded and looked after one another during the COVID pandemic. One of the things that, from a municipal perspective, a lot of the things that we accomplish aren't too sexy, but a big accomplishment because it signals the end of a huge paving project plan that we've had in the works was the completion last year of the 876, which is the highway that runs north of Tilly up to Highway 544, which is 22.5 kilometers of pavement that does not belong to us. It's a provincial road. However, most people who travel roads don't care who paid for it, what level of government, they just like good roads, and it's good for our community. So that's something that I was really proud of, because it signals the completion of it was a much bigger group of roads that we got done over the last few years. I'm looking forward to 21. Also a big money question is our regional capital projects that exist. There are a lot of arenas, and you guys were referencing pools and all sorts of those facilities that replacement is inevitable. And so we have had a bit of a start on a discussion with our hamlet communities on capital replacement, and we want to try and figure out how that can be done into the future so that it's community supported and there isn't a feeling that someone's going to come along and there's going to be huge grant money or anything like that. We need to figure out this on our own going forward. So that's a big project for 21 for us. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Molly. And Barry.
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. This is great, and it's always good when certainly when the City of Brooks gets to have a forum where we can talk about some of the things and really educate people about what's been going on, and also to take questions. So I think for 2020, I think that the thing I am most proud of is how this community and people broadly answered a call for service during this. I mean, we had hundreds of people come from the city of Calgary to provide food packages and help, and JBS as a company did so much. There were so many people that stepped up in big and little ways all through that. There were people that helped with translation services during the assessment clinic, and just people showed up to do work. And we went from the idea of having an asymptomatic clinic to having one up and going in place, running in 4 days. And we tested, over a third of the population over those 3 next days. It's really quite incredible when you think about how many pieces people just picked up stuff and went to work, and away we went. In 2021, was an election year for municipalities. And I guess I have a couple of hopes and a couple of fears that I'd like to share. One of them, I hope there's people in Brooks and in particular, females in Brooks, people with some diversity, and not that our group didn't do a good job because they worked really hard, but it's always good to have perspective. So I'm really encouraging people that are thinking about, and if they're not sure they can do it, please give me a call, because I'd happily explain how it can be done. And we need more people to be involved in that level. My fear is that some of the new rules around the local elections adversely affect that. I don't think there's enough respect given to the local level of government, both from the federal and the provincial governments, to allow us to really thrive in the communities and help build them. And you see a lot of that happening here. And I'm really, I get to point to examples of where our community punches way above its weight when it comes to things that benefit the rest of the province. Molly spoke about the paving projects. They've done 2 of those that have an immense impact on tourism, that directly impacts other people, that feeds the province taxes, that, a lot of those things. When we come to broadband, if we wait for the province to do anything because their budget is 0 on broadband, we'll never get it in these rural communities. And those are going to be the engines of economic development going forward. So I really think one of the things that we get to do going forward is to focus on those things that are going to serve us well. So on economic development, we talk about broadband. We have a recreation and parks master plan that's coming. Community growth through things like rec facilities, through things like industrial land development, trying to find innovative ways of servicing so that we can develop affordability. Housing affordability is a big one. When we want to make sure we have the right staff and people can have a quality of life here that they can enjoy and want to stay and build. We're trying to find efficiencies. The world is changing. We've got big solar projects starting up. We have to take advantage of the ability to, when those workforces are here. We have to build on the technology that's going forward. Does that mean, it doesn't mean we leave our traditional carbon industry alone. That means we move and adapt and serve ourselves in the future, because in the long term, this is the direction that's going, and we should be in front of it, not behind it. The other thing I think that I'm really proud of, and I want to continue and hope all of us do it together, is when it comes to welcoming and inclusion, anti-racism, all of those things. Communities are built on being inclusive and welcoming, on being collaborative and safe. And that's each of our responsibilities. But again, I think the municipalities locally have to continue to lead that charge. And lastly, and not, it came up at our last meeting about just cooperating with our business groups. We're a small community. We have the BRZ and the chamber, and I hope that we can have a discussion where we build on each other's strengths, our uniquenesses, but we also combine our resources and at times and do a better job for all of us, because what's good downtown is good out of downtown. What's good in Bazzano is good. What's good in the county is good for Brooks. And let's make sure we're thinking that way. And so I'm really excited about one of the things that's COVID's done in a positive way is forced us to all look around and say, where can we get some help from? And I hope that attitude continues on in the future. And I'm pretty excited to be a part of it at least until October.
Wow, so amazing to hear from all of you, and looks like we can expect a lot of good coming for the future. So again, thank you, Mayor Wixon, Reeve Douglas, and Mayor Morishita for attending tonight. We do want to let you know that in April, so fourth Tuesday of the month in April, we'll have the Brooks region attend, and they'll let us know what they have going on within our communities. And then I got to send the invite out, but seeing how Martin's on, just giving you a heads up that we're thinking maybe May the 4th Tuesday, if it works out, we'll get our MLA and our MP on here and hear provincial and federal what's going on and what good things we can look forward to. So thank you everyone for attending, and have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Everyone.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you.
Thank you.